My name's Rick Hone. I'm from Idaho Falls, and I'm the general manager of Elevate Fulfillment. We're a logistics and warehousing company here in Idaho Falls. So we have about 30 different clients that we do warehousing and fulfillment for. So I think more of my job has moved from operational. I kind of started about 8 years ago. I started in the warehouse. And as I was going through school, I did a lot of the warehousing stuff, forklifts and packing orders and all that type of thing. But in the last 3 and 4 years, I've been doing a lot more of the administrative side. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of interface with clients when they have shipments that are coming in. For instance, today we have a shipment that came in from China that we're going to be repackaging and sending to Walmart in Canada for a customer. So just kind of orchestrating those types of things. We have a big order that's going out today for going to SeaWorld for another customer. So kind of overseeing the high level stuff on that end, not necessarily doing a lot of the manual labor. So there's a lot of that. Then there's also a lot of on the financial side as well. Making sure that things are captured right, billed accordingly. Most of the things that we do are billed by the piece. So when we receive stuff, we charge by the piece that we receive. When we ship stuff out, we charge by the piece that we ship stuff out at. And so, just making sure that all that kind of information is captured, that our employees are, kind of doing everything right and overseeing that so that we get all the T's crossed and I's dotted. And another thing that I do too is I oversee, they're called vendor compliance agreements. So when we have a customer that ships to a big retailer most of the time, they'll have a specific documentation of how they have to be packaged and shipped into that customer. My brother Brad, he does a lot of the inbound stuff, so he deals with actually getting things from manufacturers overseas or domestically, kind of setting up and organizing the transportation in, working with freight forwarders or brokers at the ports, and making sure that the traffic comes in the way that it's supposed to come in. So kind of it changes daily, and I think that's one of the things that really drew me to it. We always bring in new customers. We just had a customer that started last week that they ship on Amazon, or sell on Amazon, I guess. Mm-hmm. And he's selling cap guns. And just kind of find this niche and decided that, cap guns, right? And who would have thought? But he shipped like 100 in the last 5 days, So it's cool to be able to, help people. And when he got in contact with us, he was a kind of a friend that he didn't want to do his own shipping, and so he contacted us, and we were able to help him set everything up and get all his shipping policies in place. And now it's basically hands off for him. So he just orders material, comes in here, we receive it, he sells it, we ship it out, and he can just kind of deal with it from that end. So it's cool to be able to work with a lot of different things. We work with some customers that are really small, like him, that might ship a few 10, 12 orders a day, and we have customers that will ship 1,500 to 2,000 orders a day. So it's kind of neat to see different types of business, see people be successful, some they're not so successful, and try and find out why. Well, I don't know if I'm successful yet, working on it, but I think the biggest thing for me is learning how to learn. I don't think that in school we ever went over any kind of vendor compliance agreements. Didn't ever learn a lot about, transportation, cubic weights, and a lot of the things that I deal with on a daily basis. And I think that no matter what field you go into, there are things that are going to be specific to that field and also specific to that company. And so I think, understanding how to pick up on the nuances of specific organizations and what their needs are is something that we've really been able to develop. And so that learning how to learn and learning how to do new things, today is the first day that we're ever going to ship to SeaWorld. And so, understanding what their requirements are different from another customer, and going through a 45-page document and being ready to ship on, according to that document within, 12 or 15 hours. That's the type of thing that you just got to learn what to look for and be able to kind of, ask the right questions, I guess. So I think that's one of the big things that's helped me to kind of get to where I'm at right now, I guess. But I still think that we've got a long way to go before we're successful. I think that probably one of the most important things to understand would be that it's all about perception. It's all about customer perception. It's all about, and I think that in for me personally, and I was a finance major, but I can get bogged down in the numbers, I guess. And I think that in supply chain, it's easy to run spreadsheets and run projections and run a lot of that kind of stuff. And that's one of the things that we're dealing with that big client of ours. That they were planning on a certain thing happening, and it didn't happen according to what their models predicted. And so you kind of forget that human element. And so now, we're backed up. We've got a lot of stuff that's going on, and trying to overcome those things. So I think just understanding more that it's not always so much about just having all of the right numbers, having all of the right protocols, having all the right procedures, but I think just remembering that human element and really focusing on that human element, because perception and the perceived value, is really critical. Because a lot of the people that I deal with, they have no idea what I do, and that's why they hire me to do that for them. We have customers that have that every single day they'll ask us for a shipping quote. Every single day they'll ask us to quote something that's going to ship out, and so part of that, obviously we want to train them so that they can do that, but at the same time, making sure that we understand that customer service side. And I think that whether you were in a big organization, we're kind of unique because we're a family-owned business, and we deal with customers all day long, and so it's a really customer-centric business. But I think that even if you were working for a big organization, understanding the people that you work with and what their perceptions, what their needs are, I think that you can be right and you can be doing things right, but if you don't work with people and you're not a team, and a team player, that's kind of a bad cliche, but if people just you kind of stick to your guns and aren't willing to bend because of whatever reason, I think that I think that's just a really big thing that we see. The reason that people come and like to work with us is because we understand that customer service, and we understand the need to help people understand and to help them understand what they don't understand. And sometimes they might think they understand everything. That's a lot of understands in one sense. But some people just don't know what they don't know, and so you have to help bring them around to that and do it in a way that's gonna help them accomplish what they're trying to do, but also maintain the efficiencies that we're trying to do. Because we'll have customers that will want us to get, they'll try and throw a wrench in, and you don't want to just kick it back out and say, no, we're absolutely not going to do that, but try and find a way to kind of fit that in and make that happen. So I think that's one of the things that's not so much a supply chain thing, or not so much even a business thing. I think it's just more of a personality type thing. I use Excel a lot. And I think that's one of we use a software as well, where we use a lot of different softwares, a lot of technology. And technology is constantly changing. And I think that going back to what I said before on, I think it's kind of what I talked about before. You got to have a grasp of the technology. You have to have a grasp of what you do and what you're trying to accomplish. Because, like I said, a lot of most of the people that you're going to be dealing with they don't know what you're doing, and so you got to understand that. And like I said, Excel, the software, the technology, the jargon of whatever it is that you're getting into. And I think that in accounting classes, I learned about FOB and FOB destination, FOB manufacturer, whatever the case may be. And those are things that we have customers that kind of throw those around interchangeably, and it can be a big deal. If they're bringing in product and it's FOB the destination port, or if it's FOB the manufacturer, they just say, oh yeah, I'm bringing this in FOB, and you're like, okay, well, which FOB? Yeah, so there's different kinds of freight that transfer, and it comes down to the legality of it, right? So it comes down to who owns the product while it's in transit. So if it's FOB destination, that means that the customer or that the manufacturer, whoever's shipping it, they're responsible for it until it's received at the destination. And then if it's FOB, their dock, or if it's FOB the port, then they will be responsible to get it to the port, and then after that, then it's our responsibility to get it from the port and into our facility. Or sometimes it's FOB their place, their point of manufacture, and it works for us on both ways because we receive stuff and we also ship stuff. And when things go wrong, it's really important to know who's responsible for that. So it can be, I mean, the reality is most of the logistics professionals will know and they'll ask those questions, but I think it's, something that, if you're starting your own company or if you're doing, whatever the case may be, and you place an order for a bunch of stuff and it's your responsibility to get it there, you just got to make sure you have the right insurances, the right bonds, and all those types of things in place. So I think that with supply chain specifically, I mean, they may be few and far between, but I think just experience, whatever that experience is. And, when we look at resumes, whether it's for interns or whether it's for people that are coming in, we literally do call the references. We'll call people that they've worked for in the past. We'll call people that they've worked with in the past. But it really comes down to experience, and it may not be, in our particular field. But it's going to be, what kind of things have you done? What kind of, and I guess societies and those things are great as well. But I think that, having some work experience and having experience, it's going to be relevant to, just to the workforce in general, just to a job in general. I think that gaining experience and doing those things. And I also think that a lot of students kind of expect, like, oh, I'm going to graduate and I'm going to move into like an $80,000 a year job or $100,000 a year because I've got a 4-year degree, or whatever the case may be. And it's definitely not the case. You gotta gain experience. And so I would say that figure out kind of where you want to be, what you want to do, and then plot out those things that are going to get you there, and try and figure out. When I was going through school, I got a couple of different job offers and things that I could have gone to work for different people. I started, I was doing my first internship I did as a graphic designer for some companies, and I got some job offers to come and work for them and do some different things in marketing and advertising, but I knew that I didn't want to work for somebody else. I knew that I wanted to kind of do my own thing, and so I wanted to gain experience and do those things that would allow me to do that. So I think just setting that goal and deciding, where you want to be, and what if that, whatever the case is, if you want to work for somebody, or if you want to work in a particular industry, if it's the sporting good industry that you want to work in, get a job at a sporting goods shop, even though maybe you want to be in supply chain, in the outdoor world, or whatever the case may be. So that, and then I'd also say probably just read up on trade magazines, finding out, and that comes back to whatever it is that you want to be involved in, then getting those trade magazines and understanding, those things that affect that industry. So I think that people that take the initiative and people that understand that kind of thing, those are the kinds of people that are valuable. I think one thing that I would look back on is that when you're in school, that it is a job, and that's what I think the work ethic and kind of the things that you learn about in school, or the things you learn about in school are important. But I think understanding that it was actually like an elementary school teacher that when I showed up one day and I didn't have my homework done, and he was like, "Why didn't you do your homework?" I was like, "I don't know, I just didn't do my homework." He's like, "No, this is your job. Like, it's your job to do your homework. And when you're grown up and you have a job and your boss tells you to do something, like, it's not if you want to get it, go ahead and do it. It is your job." And I think that was the approach that I took with assignments, that I took with classes. I didn't maybe. You don't have to do anything, obviously, when you're at school. And when you're at school, you're paying to go there. You're paying to be there. So the professors don't really care whether you're going to get an A or an F. It's no skin off their back how well you do. But you get into the job, you get into the workforce, and it's not, whether I get an A or I get an F and whether I pass or fail. It's whether I keep a job, or in my case, whether I keep a client or whether I don't. And so I think that just approaching and developing that work ethic, saying that, these are things that absolutely have to be done, and, kind of come what may, it doesn't matter what happens if I get sick, if my kids are up, or if I've got, a bunch of other things that I'm supposed to be doing, like, I've got to get this stuff done. And I think that that's one of the things that we notice we hire a lot of different people. We have about 20 people on staff right now. And the work ethic is just one of those things that you see failing in the younger generation. It's, oh, I've got this, I need off on Friday, or I've got this, I need to be gone today, or whatever the case may be. And And I think that that's something that you can develop during school, that treat each one of the assignments as if it is a paying job. And the great thing about BYU-Idaho is if you get good grades, you get a scholarship too. So it basically is a job.
All right. Thanks very much, Rick. We appreciate your time.